Soon here, I'm going to get a basket full of ticket numbers. I'll call out a ticket number, and when you hear your number, step up to one of the microphones down here and ask your question. Thank you again for being here and contributing to a respectful, engaging conversation. So let's start by introducing the candidates for tonight. We have Steve Callaway. I'm just going down the order of the list here. Kimberly Culbertson, Ayla Hofler, Anthony Martin, Paul Schaefer, and Kipperlyn Sinclair. So let's give them a big round of applause for showing up tonight. And so the first question I want to ask to get us started is, what do you see as the role of a county commissioner? And we're going to start on this end, and I'm going to use this microphone and then just pass it along. Yeah, if you could work it into that question too, like do the introduction and work that question.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. All
Do
right.
the best you can.
Then I will good evening. Thank you, Indivisible, and thank you, Forest Grove UCC, for hosting us tonight. So the role of the county commissioner is to provide oversight for those core responsibilities that the county is responsible for. Things such as veteran services, land use, transportation, and the like, public safety, such as the courts and the jails, the sheriff's department. But in addition, we are a partner to our cities, and we are listeners to our community, because that is going to be the most important thing that we can do, is listen and hear, because there's things that we don't know that you do, and we need to hear those things and then make sure that we are using those things as we make our decisions for the present and especially for the future.
I'm Kimberly Culbertson, a downtown resident in Hillsborough for 28 years. I'm on the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee for downtown. I've been on the design committee for the downtown core. What Washington County Commission should be doing would be keeping the interests of I think it's over 200,000 people in the unincorporated areas, as well as dealing with taxes, dealing with health care, dealing with mental health care, and roads and land use. That is a lot. And if you consider the vast swath of area that we have to cover in Washington County, that's a lot of different competing interests, and I think that the County Commission should be a place where people can feel good about talking to them, one, and be listened to. I would definitely think that we should stop truncating our CPO program, CPO, Participation Organization, thank you. And having been a chair of a CPO, an incorporated CPO, I think it's really important that people learn how land use is done through that program.
Thank you all so much for having me here. My name is Anthony Martin, and the first thing I'll say is I just want to introduce a little bit about myself and my family. I live in Hillsborough with my wife and my daughter. I have 2 dogs and a cat. And, you know, my wife lives with serious health challenges, which means I'm the sole provider for my household. And at 36 years old, as the youngest candidate, I carry the same worries and burdens many of you do. Every month, paying bills, keeping a roof over your head, and planning for the future. I know I'm not alone in that. And this responsibility keeps me grounded and focused on what really matters, building a community where families can thrive. Now, county commissioners make decisions that shape our daily lives. They fund libraries, public safety, homelessness services, transportation, housing. They make sure we have fair elections. In short, they make sure that Washington County works for people like us. I'm running because every family here deserves a chance to put down roots, raise their kids, and know they have a future here. A future with diverse housing options that are within reach, where utility bills aren't a source of constant anxiety. A future with good living wage jobs and a ladder of opportunity. And a future where all feel welcome, safe, and protected from grotesque federal overreach. That's why I spent my career focused on turning good ideas into real results. During my 8 years as a Hillsborough City Councilor, I helped establish Hillsborough's gigabit internet service and led the switch to LED streetlights, saving the city $900,000 a year. I increased community engagement and prioritized sustainable planning. At a regional level, I designed Oregon's first of its kind utility affordability program for multifamily customers, saving families millions of dollars on their utility bills. These aren't just a politician's dreams in a speech, but actionable ideas that led to real results that benefit the community. As your next commissioner, my priorities are affordability, economic development, and infrastructure. Each of these are focused on making sure that we lift up the most vulnerable and plan for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kipperlyn Sinclair. I'm a Hillsborough City Councilor running for Washington County Commissioner for District 4. For me, to share a little bit about why I'm here today, I entered the race because of my dislike for the way SB 1586 was handled. For me, there was a lack of transparency. And I believe that our residents have a right to be a part of the policy-making process prior to decisions being made. And so for me, policy in local governance is about people, place, and our priorities, which again are always people. To share a little bit about myself, going back, when you talk about people, you have to share a piece of who you are, and in Lex, we don't often get that opportunity. I am a Mexican-American woman with indigenous roots, and I was raised by two very strong women who held fiercely into their values. My mother and my grandmother taught me early on that the epitome of success came through the safety of having food, water, and shelter security. And so when we talk about place, it's so important in land use, which is an absolute priority for me. Place is a place where you have to invest locally. Everything is about investing locally. I'm so sorry. It's very different being up here. Please excuse me. It's very different being up here. So place. Small and medium-sized businesses, they're the backbone of our rural and our urban communities. Washington County collectively brings in upwards of $50 billion annually. And so I would like to pursue providing greater accessibility to alternative funding so that there's greater accessibility for businesses that can provide scalability and further develop workforce development.
Thank you.
Sorry guys, this is a different format than what I was used to, I apologize.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Indivisible for having this tonight. It's really hard to gather people together these days because we don't have newspapers to find at the front door anymore. And so it's great to have this venue to be able to meet all of you. My name is Ayla, and I'll just try to go along with what everybody else did here. My family is now 4 generations strong in Washington County. I live on a 24-acre gentlewoman farm in the coastal range outside Banks. That's for 25 years now, and before that I was 25 years in Mountaindale. I have chickens, goats, horses, dogs, cats, and lots of wildlife that live happily together on my land. I have 8 acres in pasture and 16 in trees. I have a large family garden that serves many bees and me. I have lived in the rural Washington County area for 50 years total, and I am what you call a West Ender or an Outlander. I have 3 sons and 12 grandchildren. I have served this community for 50 years, starting in 1976 with the beginning of the Virginia Garcia Clinic, till now currently a elected chairperson for the Citizen Participation Organization. I am an elected PCP for Precinct 301. I was elected school board member for 6 years in North Plains. I've been a critical care nurse for 40 years. I've been a health science educator for 30 years. I've been a medical hospice chaplain for 20 years. I received my BSN at OHSU. I received my BS in health science education from PSU. and I received my master's in divinity and bioethics from George Fox University. And so I feel that my diversity of education and serving the community will lend me well to be a good representative of District 4. We have a vast responsibility to be good stewards of tax dollars. And so the budget is always going to be the number one thing where we squeeze out our priorities and take a look at our dreams. So, but well, obviously the land use and everything else is a part of it that falls under there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Paul Schaefer. Being at the end of the row, I can say ditto to a lot of what I've heard, a lot of what the board does, Board of Commission. A little bit about myself. Born and raised in a small town in western Montana, not much different than Banks or North Plains, where I currently live. My wife and I have lived in Washington County for 30 years. I won't tell you how old I am, but that's about half my life, so you can do the math. So, we're from Montana, but Oregon is our home. We call it home, it is our home. And so, being on the board, it gives me the opportunity to make Washington County better. One of the things that really got me interested in this was budget. As Ayla mentioned, budget and financing. I believe the constituents need to know, and they want to know where their taxpayer monies are going. What is being spent on? Is it efficient? Is it for essential services, like for veterans and people with disability? Is there adequate funding for their needs? No one else will provide for it. Like I said, I've been in Washington County for 30 years, and previous commissions under Chair Dyke and Chair Bryan, the board seemed to be more fiscally conservative in how they manage the resources and manage the monies. But the last couple of years, I don't get that picture. For the past couple of years, every time we start the budget, we're 2 million short, 7 million short. A couple years ago, they were 20 million short. I understand cost of living goes up, services goes up, but you should not be starting the budget in the hole like that. So I think more financial accountability is needed by the board. And if audits are necessary to ensure a more efficient government, then so be it. I mean, no government is going to be 100% efficient with all the resources. But I think as the board, that should be our goal, to be as efficient as we can with the money that we have, because it's not our money, it's the taxpayers' money.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's hold on. All right, so the first question, the ticket number is 1625738. 1625738. Going once. Okay, let's go to the next number, 1625745.
Thank you all for being here. I appreciate getting to connect with faces. I know that the County Commission is a nonpartisan position, but I think that we're fools if we believe that bias doesn't exist and that we don't come from a certain perspective. So I would be curious to know where you find influence, and if you're affiliated with any particular party, and maybe if there's a worldview that would influence your position as county commissioner.
Okay. Well, I have been affiliated with the Democratic Party, and I'm currently affiliated with the Working Families Party. What influences my approach to people is the experiences that I've had walking and knocking and talking to people. Also, the time that I spent as a census enumerator. I was being asked to enumerate for people who didn't speak English. Now, I speak Russian and French, but I also had to work with Romanian, Polish, Japanese, Ethiopian, Somali, all sorts of different languages. But What bridged that gap was being humble and working within the means of the people that I was talking to, and being respectful. I think those are the most important things that a person as a public servant can give to the public.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I really appreciate it. So I am a registered Democrat. I have been since I was registered to vote, and I am endorsed by the Democratic Party. I also have a decade of experience in public finance. So for me, local government in particular is the best way to make a positive impact on the community around me, and the way I believe I can make a change for the better for people who live around me. I spent several years as financial planning manager for the city of Portland's $700 million sewer and stormwater utility. And I say that because it influences my worldview, because I was able to make that bureau more transparent and accountable with its money. I think most of the issues that the county faces are nonpartisan. As people so often say, potholes are nonpartisan. And what I want to bring to the county is someone who brings everyone to the table, listens to all viewpoints, make sure that we address the core issues, and prioritize working families through things like utility affordability programs and other activities.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. For me, I am a registered Democrat, and a lot of my worldview is based through my life experience. I lived here in Washington County for 33 years, and I've appreciated the diversity in our economy, and I worked in the food and hospitality sector, and numerous jobs, and putting my husband through school so that he could be in advanced manufacturing. And I pursued a career by becoming a micro-entrepreneur with the Hillsborough Farmers Market. I was able to turn my grandmother's salsa recipe into a regional brand throughout Oregon, Washington, and Canada. And what I love about our county is that diversification of opportunities. But what I'm seeing currently is slowly turning, well, actually quickly, turning into a monoculture of opportunity, meaning that we have two pillars that we're very focused on, and that's advanced manufacturing in the tech industry, and it's public administration. And what we have to understand is that we've lost so many thousands of jobs in the past year and a half. We need to diversify our opportunities throughout our community to bring in trade, the trade sector, and create resiliency. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for bringing a question to us. First of all, I struggle with even thinking about parties anymore. I think in this day and age, we need to get beyond parties. And I'll tell you why. It's because we have so many serious issues. And I think we have to every day wake up and decide, what are we going to try to deal with today? And yes, we come with our values, but they come from many places, our family, our experiences. I've traveled 6 continents. I've lived in Africa for 3 years. I've taken an oath in all my professions to serve all people, and that's my party. But I am a registered Republican, and I'm endorsed by the Washington County Republican Party. What I will say about parties, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Democrats and Republicans both want the same things. I believe that. It's how we want to get there that makes us different.
Thank you.
And I think that's where we can always cross the aisle and come to middle ground. And I look forward to that. And I feel like I'm a real catalyst to be able to do that for folks.
I'm a registered Republican, always have been. But as far as if there's policies that get introduced by Democrats or Republicans, what's important to me is the policy. What thought has gone behind the policy, what discussion has gone behind it. I don't care if it's a D or an R. If the policy makes sense from the Democratic side, I'm okay with that. I don't know how many Republicans are or how many Democrats are, vice versa. Because it's really, are we listening to people? Previous question was board do. I think we need to listen to our constituents. That's one thing I will adhere to every day. Because until you hear from constituents, you don't know what the issues are. Maybe there's questions that you can answer, or maybe they have solutions to the problem that we've been debating for years. You need to hear from people, whether urban or rural.
All right, thank you.
So currently I'm an unaffiliated voter. Over the years I've been registered as a Democrat and also as a Republican. And you know, the driver for that sometimes is who do I want to vote for in a primary to try to make sure they get through to a general election. But after 2016, the Republican Party really was not, even for a moderate, a good place or a welcome place to be. As mayor of Hillsborough, it's nonpartisan, and as Anthony said, you know, it's not a Republican pothole, it's not a Democrat pothole, just fill the pothole. And I think that's one of the things that I've carried with me as mayor of or as president of the Oregon Mayor's Association and president of the League of Oregon Cities, and meeting with folks from all around our state, is really we have common issues, common problems, and the party isn't part of the solution. My worldview comes from my background as an educator of about 40 years. When I came to North Plains as principal, I had kids who lived in the migrant camps. Their parents brought them here because they wanted a better life for themselves, but also better opportunities for their kids. And when you see the sacrifice that has been made, you can't help but honor that and recognize that we are truly a great country and that we owe it to make sure that others have the chance to enjoy what we have. And I just gratefully appreciate, you know, the sacrifice and the hard work and the contributions that have been made.
Thank you. All right, next question, 1625736. Calm down. And then Anthony starts.
Hi, my name is Sandy, and I volunteered in school districts forever and always was concerned with the student, teachers, academics, extracurricular activities. I know one of our candidates ran for the Banks School Board last year on parents' rights. And so my question as potential commissioners is, what does a commissioner have to do with our public schools? Because to be truthful, I don't know.
Sorry, you're good now.
Okay, no, thank you for making sure she had space. Thank you so much for that question. And the answer is, they do not directly have a say over school districts. However, county commissioners do so many different things to support education and workforce development in our county. So what I see with that is building connections as a county commissioner with school districts and making sure that those kids are able to be connected to businesses, nonprofits, and support around them so that they are able to have good living wage jobs. Additionally, another thing that county commissioners can help with is making sure that we have parks that are not just lines on a map, but places where people can actually build community. The county owns several big parks like Hag Lake, so it's important that the county make sure that there are opportunities for children to grow and thrive in our community. One of the things I want to bring to this position is making sure that we're uplifting the working families and making sure that all families really feel safe and welcome here.
Yeah, thank you for the question, because the first thing when you say schools that goes in my mind right now is land use. I think of enterprise zoning and I think of tax abatements, and I think of how repeatedly our schools don't become fully funded, and they need that funding to have quality within the schools. When we don't create jobs that create state income, we not only hurt ourselves as cities and a county, we hurt the entire state within our school system. So I say no more tax abatements for corporations and data centers. What I also think of the security of food. I think of how many kids rely on the meals they get at school, and that it's our job as commissioners to create initiatives that create better support within the school system to make sure that there is food security within the school. I also think of mental health because of our teachers. So often they take on so much mentally. We provide services throughout the county, and our teachers rely on that so that they can get the support that they need. Thank you for the question.
Well, this is one of my dream wish questions. Being a school teacher and a nurse, I've been involved in schools many times with both hats on, and I will tell you that the schools belong to the people. They do not belong to the state, and people just don't seem to realize that. And because that land is in our county, we have jurisdiction over that land. And the first and foremost thing I want to establish with our school districts is that our emergency preparedness plans involve that land. There are not going to be any beds in the hospital for you when we have an emergency. You're going to be triaged to a school district, and you're going to need the supplies and the water and the staff to take care of our masses when we don't know where to go. So we need to establish a new level of collaboration. And I want to see our emergency preparedness plans involve our city, fire department, school district, and county, so that we are comprehensive and we are consistent throughout the county with providing safety and public health.
Thank you.
It's a tough question. From a land use perspective, schools that get built or developed, they have to go through land use review. There's code standards that they have to apply and implement for approval to get permits. So one thing the board could do as part of the work program, which the board adopts each year, as the marching orders for long-range planning to studies or ordinances, there could be a study that looks at the existing code standards. Are changes needed to better facilitate future school development? Are there code changes that are necessary to make it easier for schools to address concerns that schools may have? As a foundation, the regulations, it's a 1983 code. It's a very old code that there's updates here and there. So maybe the board could direct long-range planning to work with the school districts to say, are there changes that are needed for the code to help them?
Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that the county can do, because as has been mentioned, the county doesn't control, but we can partner, and it is critical that the county does partner. And some of the ways that we can do that are to provide youth internships. The city of Hillsborough has done that, and that is an easy program and to replicate at a county level. We can make sure that we have folks from our different departments who go and visit with the career coaches at our schools, so that kids fully understand that just about any job you might be interested in, you can find that in county government, whether it's engineering, whether it's finance, whether it's HR, whether it is working as a mechanic. And that would be one of the other things, because Hillsborough School District has a diesel mechanic program in conjunction with their transportation department. So that's a way that we could get kids involved with Washington County trucks, Washington County motor pool, and at the same time begin to get them involved in clean water services, which is something else that the county oversees. The county commission acts as the board, and so that's one of the other things that that you do as a county commissioner.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know it must be so frustrating, only 1 minute. Thank you. So you still haven't spoken.
I'm gonna kind of backtrack about 55 years or so. I was a kid in Malheur County, and we lived out in the middle of nowhere out on Highway 20. My mom worked hard at the bank, and my father was a parole officer and was working some serious hours of his own. But we did not get the white glove treatment to the home. We got off the bus, we walked across the railroad tracks, and a quarter mile down a dirt road to get to the house. And we had to, we had to start prepping dinner. We also had to, figure out how to fill those hours before mom and dad got home. Okay? And this is all in service to say there is an organization called Washington County Kids that is in the process of working on programs that can fill those hours for the children who wouldn't ordinarily be able to go into sports or into music or into dance or any of those very expensive things that we all know are ways for children to be engaged and learn more and develop a reference group.
Thank you. All right, next question, 1625751. Kipperlyn.
What part of county government do you think needs the most improvement? And in less than 60 seconds, have you got ideas on how to fix it?
Land use and tax abatements. To me, those are, again, correlated together. It's so layered. Economic development, I want to see more diversity and greater representation of our agriculture community, because agriculture brings in nearly $70 billion annually at a state level, and we are grossly underutilizing the talents and brilliance that our farmers have in making decisions in land use, in workforce development, and in succession for sustainability for generations to come. So when we don't create an advisory council that has our agriculture community within it, and when we try to pass Senate bills like 1586 without input from our farmers, we have no realization of the ecosystem that we interrupt throughout our county and the entire region. So we need to communicate more and have public engagement with our agriculture community associated with land use.
Thank you.
That's a hard one, because there's a few of them where I'd like to just start over. Land use is a big one, but the overreaching umbrella that I care about the most, and I guess it would be our legal counsel, we need to start initiating home rule. And nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But home rule will be the foundation for our county to be able to tell the state, thank you very much for your mandates and recommendations, but the unique needs of Washington County are going to be addressed in a different way, and we're here to sort that out for our people in our county. So I want new legal representation for the county that is willing to go out and figure out how home rule works and be able to initiate that in an assortment of different areas: election, land use, emergency preparedness, safety. There's so many things home rule can apply to. We have to start using it. We are only one of 9 counties that are home rule counties, and it can make us or break us.
I thought there'd be tough questions, but that's a really tough question. I started talking about budget. Budgets, they're not a sexy topic, but everything flows down from budgets. All the departments, all the divisions, everything falls under the budget. So I think you need to get a good handle on a lean budget, a mean budget, that addresses adequate funding for all essential services. Then everything else will then you work on all the other issues, all the departments, land use, or other issues, other departments. If you don't have a handle on the budget, and you're just spending because, oh, this sounds good or that sounds good, you're not going anywhere. You're going backwards. And if you're going backwards financially, then that's a disservice to the taxpayers, to my constituents. So I would start with a budget and have a good plan to have a good, efficient, lean budget.
All right, thank you.
I mentioned it in my previous answer, but clean water services. We are aware of the issues that came to light through an Oregonian investigation, and so the county commission serves as the board of clean water services, and so that's one of the things that I will provide greater oversight for. I know that there have been some policies that have been put in place. Well, I'm guessing there were some policies before, and so we need to make sure that policies are being adhered to, and that the organization, which is $900 million, has just a clear accountability from all of us on the county commission. Having been on the City of Hillsboro's budget committee for 25 years, I've helped oversee large municipal budgets. Having been a principal, I've seen smaller budgets. And even currently now as a member of the Community Action Board, making sure that we have the sustainability, the financial sustainability, to make sure that we are serving our low income, our kids with Community Start, which is another way that we can help as a county to make sure with education. And so I'm all those zeros, and so I'm.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to, we do have a serious deficit in Washington County's budget currently. Things are, programs are being slashed, services are being slashed. This has largely to do with the fact that we don't get as much income as we need. We are giving away significant portions of that budget to large corporations for 25 years. Gain share, SIP, and the enterprise zones are literally wringing the money out of our county. And for what? Okay, Intel, they just got off of their SIP. What do? They close down the store. They ship people out. They start laying off thousands. Do we think that that is a good value for our money? And these are the questions that we should all be asking and talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. There are two places I want to highlight. The first is Clean Water Services. Clean Water Services has suffered from a lack of oversight. And as the County Commission is the board over Clean Water Services, I think it is absolutely critical that we have clear, transparent, responsible spending, clear and transparent rate making and rate setting, and we are identifying costs that align with impacts on our communities. As I noted before, I was financial planning manager for Portland's $700 million sewer and stormwater utility. I'm currently the budget and finance manager for Public Works in the City of Hillsborough. I know how to use money, public money, in a way that is transparent, responsible, and accountable. Additionally, I would point to county administration because I would like to see a long-term strategic plan on how we can address these budget deficits. Instead of going one year by year making these cuts, we need a long-term plan, and that rests squarely on the shoulders of the County Commission and County Administration.
Thank you. All right, next question, 1625731. 1625731. Sit that over there, not seeing anybody. 1625733.
I have 3-1. Can I do my question in a few more minutes?
You know.
I just have to do it.
Oh, okay, like the next one? Like the next one? Okay. 1625733.
Hello, I'm Jacob. I live out in Malaysia. Sorry to have harped on this a lot, but data centers with billionaire owners are affecting working people in a myriad of ways. They extract water and electricity, giving back just a handful of jobs after temporary construction, and produce amazing value for companies that are betting on AI to replace our jobs. Schools are closing in Beaverton, and the only grocery store in North Plains is a food bank, struggling for funding, and the county doesn't benefit from the clawback fees that the cities can charge. So Hillsborough even just last night proposed exploring a city moratorium, and there's a data center being built in Forest Grove right now. Do any of you support a county moratorium on more data centers in our area? And would you support a more equitable tax rate or program, new program, beyond just removal of abatements? To data centers specifically.
Yes, Steve?
Sorry, you're good.
Got it? Okay. So data centers are the hot topic, yes. Everybody's on the bandwagon because it's so polarizing. So as a land use consultant since the 1980s, I have a bit of a perspective on this. I don't want to just do a moratorium. You know, the Latin word of that is dead. I want to do something more proactive. I want to take an analysis of all our class 1 and 2 soils. And we're going to do a scientific evaluation of what we've got in this beautiful basin. Our water and our air and our soils, our sacred ground. And we need to have a covenant placed on our soils, 1 and 2. That means for perpetuity, it is only used for farming. Primarily food for humans and animals, and we, of course, our seeds, things we do so well. So, I'm a proponent to do that, but I also am a proponent for private property rights, and I want to see our legacy families, which are 95% of our farmers are families. I want their family to be able to stay and take care of their legacy farms.
Thank you.
Data centers are something that probably aren't going away, good, bad, otherwise. But if they're allowed, they should be in industrial lands, not on 1,700 new acres of rural land that was attempted to be brought in. There's a lot of industrial land in EGB. They don't have to be concentrated in this area. Moratorium, I think we need more discussion to know what's the effect of that. Obviously, it would not be an outright ban, because I don't think an outright ban would be hard. Obviously, you need a lot of questions to be answered, a lot of analysis, a lot of studies to see what is the positive. Is there a positive effect of those? I don't know. There's obviously a lot of jobs at the beginning, but afterwards, not so much. They use a lot of water, a lot of electricity, but definitely needs a lot more study for that.
Thank you. The governor currently has a data center study task force going on. And then I think it's in October, their report goes to the state's prosperity task force. And so I think last night, the City Council of Hillsborough, kind of gave a thumbs up on taking a temporary pause until some of this information comes out. And so I think that that's a good idea. Now, the question I have with the moratorium is, is it legally binding or is it symbolic? If it is legal, is there money to defend it? If it's considered a takings, is there money for damages? Those are the kinds of things I don't know. I don't know if it's a 5-year moratorium or a 50-year moratorium, or what the triggers are. So lots of questions that I still have that I haven't either found the answers for or heard the answers for. And so I think, but one of the things during the time that I was mayor, Solar World closed. And so that was repurposed and is now a data center. And it uses a fraction of the water that was being used by Solar World, because the manufacture of solar panels, solar cells, is incredibly water intensive. So by sending it to Solar World, we're able to save farmland and at the same time dramatically reduce the water being used in your world.
I'm going to come to this from a different perspective. I have a classmate who was a county commissioner out in Morrow County, and they have immense numbers of data centers out there. And he noticed that there were a lot more death notices happening in the newspaper. And that had largely to do with the effluent from those data centers and how soils were being handled. I would do anything in my power to prevent that in Washington County. I know our water table is a lot higher than in Morrow County. It's different soils, et cetera, but bottom line is, it's people. We are here to protect the people of Washington County. And if that means putting a hold for a bit and looking at better technologies, I'd be willing to look at a moratorium.
Thank you for the question and directly addressing the topic. First up, I think our budget should match our values. One of those values for me is good living wage jobs. Data centers do not provide that and therefore should not receive the tax breaks they are currently receiving. I also believe they should pay their full impact on electricity, on water, on stormwater, and on wastewater, some things of which that the county can directly control. I do think it's important to point out that a majority of the tax breaks are controlled by cities. Therefore, the county cannot directly impact those enterprise zones. That is the city council, particularly the Hillsborough City Council is what we're talking about right now. One thing that I would like to see is removing those benefits and frankly, seeing the changes at the state level, the Power Act being a key component. And I would say even going further and saying that they would have to pay for renewable energy and building new renewable infrastructure if they were to come here. I say all that to say if we were to remove the incentives for that development, I do not think they would be here. So I don't think at that point a moratorium is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. In the area of AI, I absolutely oppose data centers. I started a moratorium for data centers in Washington County with candidate Myrna Munoz, who is running for Oregon State District 15 as a senator. And together we called for the moratorium here in Washington County. And as little as 2.5 weeks, we have received over 2,300 signatures on the petition. We felt that it was needed beyond just the governor's moratorium on tax abatements for enterprise zones. We need solid studies. We as a community invest our everyday lives here and we call Washington County home. Residents have a right to understand land compatibility. Residents have a right to understand water consumption. Residents have a right to understand the increase in energy cost and impact of impact to our environment, and to understand the cost of real local jobs created or taken away. So
Thank you.
you need to hold elects accountable because it impacts all of us.
Thank you. We'll go down to the poll there. So 162-5731. Where were you at? Yep. This will probably be our last question.
Thank you for your help. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. So one of the things I've been thinking about a lot in this campaign is how Washington County is a district in flux and how there are many different kinds of money that one can receive over the course of your campaign. Could you please tell me some of your top 3 funders and how they demonstrate or are a way that brings evidence for the way you want to engage the wider community in Washington County while you are commissioner? Thank you.
Well, I have a few donations, mostly family and friends, no corporations, no businesses, and at the previous forum last week, someone asked, do you have family and data centers? I have no family data centers, I don't work with them. As a funny note on that, when I was putting signs up on Brookwood, in front of Albertsons, where Irving, I thought QTS across the street, lot frontage would be a great place for some signage. I should call them. I thought, well, I'll Google them first. And it's a data center. I thought, that's not a good place to put signs if I'm not real keen on data centers. So that's a question. Just family, friends, a few donations. So nothing alarming about that. So nothing to worry about.
Thank you for the question. 3 of my largest donors, and they each donated $5,000 each, One is the Portland Metro Area Realtors Association, and also the Home Builders Association. And then just within the last week, there was a Latino-owned business and businessman who said to me, I appreciate what you've done for my community. I have watched what you've done for the Latino community during your time as mayor, and I want to support you in your race for county commission so that you can continue to do it at that level. And he surprised me with a check of $5,000, what I was incredibly humbled to receive.
I too am predominantly being funded by friends and family. I think that's where my heart's at. Those are folks who understand me, understand how far ahead I'm looking, and how many inputs that I process to talk about my policies. I have been endorsed in the past by the unions and all that, and frankly, it's a tug of war. It's a money game, and I'm not playing it this year.
Thank you for the question. I do think it's very important to be transparent. My top donors outside of me and my family members are the Washington County Party, a Benton County Commissioner, Gabe Shepard, which speaks to the collaboration at the statewide level that I would be able to bring, and also $500 from a local community member who was very interested in making sure that the county is planned sustainably. What I will say is I have almost as many donations as anyone in this race. However, my donations are in the $50 and $100 level, not the $5,000 level. So I am a grassroots funded candidate whose intent is to reach out to folks, share the message of what good policy can bring to our families, and then hopefully get a donation. And frankly, if not, that's okay, because the name of the game is knocking on doors.
I'm in that same category. That was a great question because it says a lot about our representation as an elect. And my largest contributors is, for instance, Smart Growth, which is a group of advocate farmers throughout our community and environmentalists who don't feel like the public has been properly represented in land use choices. And from other farmers, 2 other farmers. Those are my largest contributions. And we're not talking about thousands, we're talking about hundreds. And primarily just people throughout the community who feel heard and seen. It's so important to have representation when you're an elected official because you are the people's voice when you're on the dais. And so many times I have seen myself alone giving a principled dissent when it is needed for the benefit of community. I have had to stand alone. So it very much matters how your community will be shaped in depending on who you elect. So I believe this is the last cycle in the next 4 years. This 4 years will shape the culture and the development of our community in Washington County.
Thank you.
Yes, it's a good question. I'm proud of my endorsers. My endorsers are loggers, farmers, well drillers, septic tank people. My people all get dirty for a living. And my people are also all pretty poor. And yet they are land rich, they're family rich, and they are all small business owners that have held this community together forever. So I'm proud to represent them. And I will say that I not only listen to people, but I want you to talk back at me. I want to have conversation. I want to have town halls. And you're not going to have commissioners sitting up there going, thank you very much, your 3 minutes is up. We're going to meet and we're going to have round tables and we're going to talk things out. And we have work sessions. We're going to get down and dirty because we all know how to do that out here in Western Washington County. I am not a politician. I'm a citizen. I come to you as a candidate from the community. And I'm endorsed by 3 mayors, Banks, North Plains, and Gaston, so you get my drift.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, That was our last question, so I do want to give the candidates a little time. It's not much, and it's frustrating. 1 minute to kind of, we're running a little late, but if you can take 1 minute to just kind of say what you want to say here at the end. And
Very good, thank you. And again, I am proud as well of the endorsements that I've received, everything from the AFL-CIO Labor Council, our Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue and Hillsborough Fire and Rescue firefighters, the Willamette Women Democrats, and the Building Power for Communities of Color. So the endorsements are from a broad variety of groups, as are the personal endorsements, both Republicans, non-affiliated Democrats, and so I'm very proud of those. But the endorsement that matters the most come from you. And as I knock on the doors, sometimes when I'm in North Plains, I hear, "Oh, Mr. Callaway, you were my principal," or I hear, "Oh, my mom is also running for county commission." And so the voices and the things that you hear really resonate, and we take those things with us, and we bring them with us to these settings, and I look forward to hearing your voices and taking that to the dais in Washington County as well.
Well, my campaign's all about the people, and the joy that I get out of talking to people on their doorstep, having a little conversation with them and their pets and their kids. I've been walking and knocking in Washington County for about 30 years, and I have yet to see a real clunker. We're great people, and that's the strength that I find in this work. And it will be work from day one. I will continue that work.
Thank you all for being here tonight and taking the time to be part of this conversation in our community. I want to end by looking forward, because this race is about outcomes for our community. On affordability, I plan to prioritize working class families in policymaking. I will work to create diverse housing options that are within reach for all income levels. I will also work to implement a utility affordability program for low-income families. On economic development, I believe that local government plays a key role in creating living wage jobs and growing the economy. I will prioritize workforce development programs that build a ladder of opportunity for everyone, and make sure that the county uses tax incentives in a way that aligns with our values, and removing things like tax exemptions for data centers that don't deliver enough. On infrastructure, I will create a county with safe streets, protected natural areas, and beautiful parks. Infrastructure is fundamental, and I want to make sure we prepare to meet the needs of today and address problems instead of passing them on to future generations. I'm not running to maintain the status quo. I'm running to focus on what the next 10, 15, 20 years of the county looks like. A county where families can afford to live, where young people can build a future, where sustainability, economic development, and livability go hand in hand. If that's the future you want to, I'd be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
I really appreciate the time that we've all had here today to listen from you and hear your priorities and to share a piece of who we are. Washington County, regardless of what party we're affiliated, this is a nonpartisan position, and Washington County is home to all of us. And we are at a crossroads right now between economic development and livability. It is so important to have diversified perspective on the dais, and to really, I can't enforce enough, I am here as your representative, as your voice in policy making. That is my promise to you. I do not approach policy at the administrative level to push administrative perspective forward or for political capital. I listen to the people of our community and approach policy with people first and how it will impact you. And so keep showing up, keep engaging, and I hope for your vote for Washington County Commissioner for District 4.
Well, District 4 is a great place to live in, and I want to remember some of the things we always used to do here, and it's what I hope to restore. My first 100 days as commissioner, I'm going to fill at least half of the sheriff positions that were down. That's about 20. I want to fill the staff in the jails. I want to take a look at why we only have 1.5 people working in our efficiency and effectiveness audit department. I think we need about 5 to 10 people in that department to go through every program and find out, are we being effective, are we being efficient? I think we have so much waste, we'll be just shocked. We don't need to raise taxes, we need to clean house. I want to preserve our historical heritage. Right now our museum's closed and our heritage collection is at risk to be sold. I'm working hard to get us an association and a perpetuity life for that museum that will never be threatened by government ideology again. I want to see our fairgrounds built back for our young youth that work so hard in 4-H and FFA. I want to see the state-of-the-art horse shows that we used to have here. I want our rodeo back and our fireworks. Can we get back? Can we get a little more west in the people here and not so many people? I think at one point the boat's full and we need to stop this high density and really take a look at what we've got here to save.
Thank you.
Vote for me and things will happen.
So I have more time because I'm the last person. I've never run for elected office before. I'm not a politician. If you want politicians, I'm not your person. If you want someone who will listen to you and try to make changes, because you love Oregon like I do, love Washington County like I do, then you should vote for me. I'm not going to stand up and make all these promises because as a board member, I'm one of 5. It takes 3 to really make changes. And I'm willing to be the one to help make that change. Some of you may be asking, well, I've been in county for 30 years. Why not just retire, take it easy? Why am I going to enter politics? That's obviously a much more stressful job than working in the current planning. I've had some stressful times there. But the answer for me is, I believe that for such a time as this, I was called to run for this position. I don't take this position lightly. I don't take your vote lightly. So I would ask for your vote. If you want change, please vote for me. And my website, paulfor4.com, paulfor4.com. Check it out. My son created it. It's a great website. And I have signs and flyers out there too.
Thank you. Please give him a round of applause tonight. We are running a little bit behind, so instead of a 10-minute break, we're going to make it a 5-minute break. So it's kind of stretch your legs, use the washroom if you need to, and we'll get set up for the next one.